Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So the US Department of Health and Human Services is freezing childcare payments to Minnesota amid an ongoing fraud investigation. Nick Shirley, who reportedly uncovered more than 100 million in fraud at 10 different facilities, was back in Minnesota on Tuesday. And I'm going to show you that video. He was accosted by various people. CNN accosted him and demanded that he explain himself rather than questioning the fraud or the evidence of fraud that's taken place. The Minnesota Department of Children, Youth and Families has launched its own investigation and so far has not found evidence of fraud. Remember, there was a statement released where they said that the daycare, the Leering Center, was actually closed and that's why there were no kids there. But come to find out, when Nick Shirley went there in person, he saw them bringing kids into the daycare. So how can it be closed if they're bringing kids into the daycare now? So this is the announcement.
Hello, I'm HHS Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill. I'm here with Assistant Secretary Alex Adams. Alex oversees the Administration for Children and Families. Intrepid journalists have made shocking and credible allegations of extensive fraud in Minnesota's child care programs. We believe the state of Minnesota has allowed scammers and fake daycares to siphon millions of taxpayer dollars over the past decade.
My office, ACF, provides Minnesota $185 million in child care funds each year. That money should be helping 19,000 American children, including toddlers and infants. Any dollar stolen by fraudsters is stolen from those children. Yesterday, I spoke directly with the director of the Minnesota Child Care Services Office. She could not tell me with confidence whether those allegations of fraud are isolated or whether there's fraud stretching statewide.
Today, we have taken 3 direct actions against the blatant fraud that seems to be rampant in Minnesota. First, I have activated our Defend the Spend system for all ACF child care payments across America. Starting today, we require a justification, receipt, or photo evidence before we make a payment. Second, I have just signed and sent a demand letter to Governor Walz. I required a full 360 review of these centers. This includes attendance records, licenses, complaints, investigations, and inspections.
And third, we've launched a dedicated fraud reporting hotline and email address at childcare.gov. Whether you're a parent, a provider, a member of the public, we want to hear from you. Let me be crystal clear. ACF expects every state to uphold the highest standards of oversight, monitoring, and accountability for federal dollars. Minnesota is no exception.
We're committed to holding bad actors accountable. Regardless of rank or office, anyone who's involved in perpetrating this fraud against the American people should expect to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Wow, so that's positive news. And I think that's actually a very good approach indeed. Now, Tim Walz has responded and he basically is saying that this is the Trump administration's agenda this whole time. Tim Walz said, "This is Trump's long game. We've spent years cracking down on fraudsters. It's a serious issue, but this has been his plan all along. He's politicizing the issue to defund programs that help Minnesotans." You know what's also taking money away from Minnesotans? Fraud. This is taxpayers' money we're talking about here. So I think it's important that they don't just keep giving you people money without you being able to lay out exactly where the money is going. I think we should be able to say where the money is going once and for all. When we go there and there's no kids there, yeah, people begin to wonder what's being done with the money. It's very simple.
Well, Kevin, this move is expected to cut child care assistance to families in half. In Minnesota, it's funded about 50% by the state and 50% by the federal government. And that federal and state money is distributed down to counties who then disperse it to child care centers to cover tuition that lower income families apply for.
Child care assistance funding follows the family, not a provider. And families have to go through a really arduous verification process and submit a ton of documentation that is verified by the state or the county in order to be deemed eligible for child care assistance.
That's Claire Sanford with the Minnesota Child Care Association, which is the organization that represents licensed centers statewide. She says 30,000 Minnesota families rely on that funding every month. Now, U.S. Health and Human Services tells us they allocated $185 million to Minnesota for child care assistance in 2025. Now, that money includes that family child care assistance, but it's part of a larger child care and development block grant. And according to Sanford, that means money for daycare licensing, professional development, safety training, and to pay for some regulators who keep tabs on whether providers are following the law is also frozen.
If you have a doctor who commits malpractice in the emergency room, you don't shut down the entire emergency room and turn everyone away at the door because they need those services. And that's what this feels like. If there are bad actors, they need to be found, they need to be dealt with, but the vast majority of providers and families are trying to do the right thing and rely on childcare for their safety, their nutrition in some cases, their ability to work.
Now, a spokesperson for USHHS tells me that he believes money has been allocated to Minnesota through January, but the federal funding freeze stops anything beyond that effective immediately.
Well, it's important that you demand that the state provides the paperwork it needs to provide so the funding could be released again. And be on Tim Walz's case. Be on his case and make sure that all the people who are involved, who are able to get this paperwork and all of this information to the federal government, are doing their job. I don't need sob stories because money is being stolen. People who pay their taxes, they have children to feed too. So Nick Shirley, he's in Minnesota as of yesterday, and this is what he uncovered.
Today we're outside of Quality Learning Center. They spelled the name wrong, so they actually came and corrected it. The interesting about this daycare here in Minnesota is it received $1.9 million in the fiscal year of 2025, and it has a capacity for upwards of 90 children.
Oh, so they've corrected the spelling error. Finally, so it took them being exposed and, being complicit in fraud for them to correct the spelling error. Before they were brazen, they didn't even care. But now that they've been exposed, now they care about the spelling error. Interesting.
What makes this daycare even more interesting is that while the Commissioner of Children of Minnesota was saying that the daycare was closed on a live stream,
Quality Learning Center closed just over a week ago.
a Somalian man was outside talking about how they are open, letting children in, and right now they are funneling children into the daycare as well. And right now, they're not really leering much because they have accepted over $1.9 million, and now the Commissioner of Children literally said this place was closed, and now you have people funneling in children. The parking lot's full right now. This is all a big slap. They received $1.9 million. It was a complete fraud.
So go ahead and get your t-shirt. If you want to get your leering t-shirt, go ahead and do that. But yeah, they said it was closed. Commissioner of Children, she's saying it was closed because, it's the holidays and all of this. But now, to save face, they're now funneling children into the daycare centre. And Nick Shirley was accosted by some journalists, not to find out more about the fraud that he has uncovered, but to question him and his motives.
We're from CNN. Can we talk to you?
This is MAGA YouTuber Nick Shirley. Back at a daycare in Minnesota, he alleged was a fraudulent facility in a now viral video.
People are going to say this is a left or right issue, but no, fraud is fraud. And so I'm not out here trying to put a twist on things.
Shirley's viral video, released over the weekend, in which he says he's uncovering tens of millions of dollars in fraud at Minneapolis daycares run by the Somali community, was retweeted by Elon Musk and Vice President J.D. Vance. In the video, Shirley tries to open locked doors and talk to people at various daycares he claims are frauds.
Did you come during their normal operating hours when you came to visit?
I came at 11 a.m., I believe, and I also came the following day, later in the day. The point of it is not whether or not I came at the right time of their operation hours. The point is that blacked out doors, they can't give you any information. You call that number, no one answers. I wasn't trying to go inside, and there should be a way for somebody to actually be able to call that number and somebody be able to answer. These aren't real businesses.
But surely you don't think a daycare should just be unlocked. You shouldn't be able to just walk into a
There
daycare.
should be a reception.
No, every daycare is locked.
And so, okay, you bring up a fair point. Then why can't they actually give me information how to enroll a child?
Federal law enforcement has been investigating fraud in Minnesota for several years. Both Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel said on social media they've indicted dozens of defendants. DHS has posted multiple videos of agents they say are conducting a massive fraud investigation.
Do you think that federal law enforcement hasn't done enough? I mean, they would say, look, these fraud cases have been going on, but they've already done like 80 indictments. The cases have been going on, for years.
And why did I show up one day in Minnesota and go to all these daycares, no children? They're receiving millions of dollars. We uncovered nearly $110 million in fraud in one day.
How do you know that all the allegations that you're making are true?
How do I know that they're true? Well, we showed you guys what was happening, and then you guys can go ahead and make your own analysis.
We're coming so we can make our own analysis. Are you 100% sure you're true?
Yeah, I am 100% sure I'm true.
CNN is looking into Shirley's claims.
Hi, my name's Whitney Wild. I'm a correspondent for CNN.
We reached out to several of the daycares featured in the now viral video. Only one daycare facility answered and said they are a legitimate business.
Have you seen that?
I'm sorry, but where were you before? Why now? You're coming out now, coming all high and mighty at him and demanding answers. Where were you? These people weren't even reporting on any of this. And he goes there with his iPhone and he uncovers the fact that they're not real operating businesses. You can go into a daycare and inquire about their rates and, if they have any vacancies. Parents walk into these places all the time looking for vacancies if they're looking for somewhere for their child. That's how businesses operate. They're not all closed up. Clearly, some of the videos he showed, he asked the person, there were people who opened the door to him, and they acted as if he was crazy for asking about enrolling his son, Joey. They looked at him like he was insane. Like, we don't do that here. What are you talking about? Like, he should just know. There are people, witnesses who say that there's never kids there. For years. They go by there, they don't see kids there. They see guys outside smoking cigarettes. Why is she trying to act like she doesn't know what's going on here? And trying to come with her, I'm a real journalist attitude. Please, where were you before? Now you want to start ringing up daycares.
The videos, purporting that some of these daycares don't have kids inside.
Minnesota Republicans say despite the new focus from the Trump administration, they have been sounding the alarm on fraud for years.
We have talked about fraud. We have gotten stories. We've tried to push this forward every way that we can.
At the daycare where Shirley showed back up, a stream of children walk inside.
You're saying that this is a fraudulent daycare. There's kids being dropped off right now.
Yes, the Commissioner of Children literally said a week ago this place was closed. Did you know They're showing face right now.
A viral video,
Exactly.
disputed claims, and their full fallout remains to be seen.
Whitney, you mentioned in your story that there were dozens of convictions going back to 2022. Can you explain what those convictions established?
Well, this was really the beginning of this massive fraud case that has now led to...
Yeah, not to mention we had judges throwing out cases, even though all the evidence was overwhelming. The person was set up to be found guilty and the judge says, actually, no, I don't think he was aware, he wasn't at the location, or coming up with all sorts of nonsense. Did a story about that yesterday. Activist judges. Is she going to mention that? How is that justice?
More than 50 convictions, 56 people at least convicted as of September of this year, Jim. At least 78 people have been indicted in that case. It was this sprawling investigation that, DOJ has really touted as their effort to try to root out what is a fraud problem here in Minnesota, Jim.
Yeah, so they should welcome investigators like Nick Shirley. They should welcome that because he's helping to uncover the fraud. Why would you be combative against that? Why would you resist that and then accuse him of being racist and all sorts, which is what is happening? Doesn't make sense. What Nick is doing should be commended then.
It's Democrats who have put Somali diaspora in Minneapolis at the center of their party and their state's politics. It's a small portion of the population. There is a bunch of fraud that goes on. And even Tim Walz has claimed that any investigation of this fraud is akin to white supremacy, which is a ridiculous allegation.
He has not claimed that. He has not said that.
He has said that.
He has not said that.
This is what happens when your own federal government wages war against you. This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy, the idea of white supremacy, the idea of white supremacy, the idea of white supremacy.
You see how they always walk back their claims? Now they want to walk back their claims. Nick Shirley has been accused of racism just for the fact that he questions the involvement of people from a particular community. Tim Walz mentioned white supremacy, likened this to white supremacy. Just yesterday, I questioned, why is he not concerned about illegal immigrant supremacy or criminality on the rise? What about criminal supremacy? Criminals running rampant, brazen within our communities and not being held accountable, not being prosecuted, not being brought to justice. What about that? They never seem to worry about that though, do they? They want us to be concerned about something that it just doesn't really affect us, let's just be honest. What affects us is our tax dollars being squandered, being stolen. What affects us is criminality in our communities going unchecked. And this is the sort of confrontation that Nick has to deal with. I think it's very concerning. He's only 23. He doesn't have Secret Service style security, obviously. And he's going right there into the thick of things and confronted by people like this.
How are you doing, man?
I just want to ask you.
Yes, sir.
Why are you sensationalizing the propaganda?
What are we sensationalizing?
To attack our community. What's your final objective?
We're not attacking your community by any means.
Are you making good money from this?
We're looking for fraud.
No,
for instance, can you answer our question? Where's Safari Transportation Company 607? It's not there.
How much money are you?
It's so ridiculous how they revert to how much money he's making. He's an investigative journalist. He's making money with ad revenue from YouTube and maybe some t-shirts. Okay, journalists get paid for their work.
How much money are you making?
Dreamline Security.
How much money are you making
off
of
of YouTube. That's how I make my money.
Exactly. So you're making money off of sensationalizing.
That's my job.
And attacking the Somali community.
I'm not attacking you guys. We're asking.
I'll tell you the reason why this is happening. All right. Let me tell you the reason why you're attacking this.
Correct?
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with race. This is fraud.
This is absolutely has to do with us being Muslim.
No, it does not.
All right, and us being from Africa. This is a constitutional argument. If you don't want us here, change the freedom of religion. Say, listen, we don't want Muslims in this country anymore.
We're not saying
No. Because when I go on...
We don't want widespread fraud. We don't want daycare centres that are there just to collect money and are actually doing what they say they're doing, because they're complicit in widespread fraud. And shining a light on that, regardless of the race of the people involved, is a good thing, because we can't just allow it to slide. Sorry, don't care what race of people are involved in it. We can't let this slide.
Your comments, when I go onto your comments, what I see is people that say we do not want Muslims here. Kick every single Muslim in Minnesota out of Minnesota.
That's a comment.
You're preparing for the Somali community to maybe be taken to concentration camps, just like the Japanese community, all right? You're sensationalizing,
no, we're not.
all right, something that can, listen, that's something that can jeopardize.
I'm sorry, but when they have to resort to all of this dramatics, you know that they know they're in the wrong. Because why would you have to go to such an extreme accusation? Of course, he's going to be accused of now, inciting violence and all of this, because he's uncovering fraud. Because he knocks on the door and there's no kids there at the daycare. That is a red flag. And he's allowed to say that. This is America.
Answer the
The
question.
safety and the protection of the Somali community. If anything happens to the Somali community, listen, I'm not doing anything. I'm not physically touching you. I'm not physically touching you. No, I'm not physically touching you.
This is fraud.
What you're doing, when I go into your comments, people who hate Muslims, who want us out of here for being Muslim, are using your material. Islamophobes use your material. People who hate Islam use your material. Say to us, we don't want you here. Change the Constitution. But guess what? Let me tell you something. Guess what?
Say it. We're asking about
fraud. You hate Muslims.
I'm not saying I hate
You hate Muslims. Why are you attacking us? Are we the only community that suffers because of fraud?
We're talking about
Are we the only community that does fraud. Are we the only community that does this?
Okay, so you're admitting that it exists within your community. And you know what? We can't let it slide. Whatever you want to use as a shield, religion and all of that, that doesn't negate what he is uncovering. And he has every right to do that.
All right, but there's what, 300 Somali providers in all of Minnesota? I'm not, don't touch me. Is there, do you speak English, right? Your security doesn't even speak English. Listen, let me tell you something.
See, this isn't a racial
Listen, let me
This
say
is
something.
about fraud.
We have, what, 1,000 providers?
Yeah, you guys have a...
Even if it's 2,000 providers, you want to sacrifice the safety of 80,000 people because of 2,000 providers? Are you mad? Are you stupid? You're sensationalizing. What about if a mass shooting happens in Minnesota? It will be because of you. It will be because of you. If any Somali gets hurt in Minnesota, it's because of Nick and Shirley. If any Somali, if one single Somali gets hurt, it's because of you. Sensationalizes. You son of a bitch. Sensationalizes. Get the f out of our neighborhood. Get the f out of our neighborhood.
That stuff doesn't work anymore. We care 0% about your race, where you come from. We care about stealing our freaking money. Shirley has a remarkable way of keeping his cool no matter how irate people get towards him. Remarkable. The Muslim man tried to make the conversation about Muslims. Shirley didn't let him frame it that way. Shirley made the conversation about fraud. Well done. Yeah, and if you watch the video that he did initially, he's not talking about Muslims or anything like that. He's simply speaking about fraud and how much money, how much federal funds have gone to daycares that don't appear to be fully functioning, operating businesses, as well as autism centers, as well as healthcare companies. That's it. He is the one, and people like him who come with that approach, they're the ones making it about religion and all of this, which is just a distraction, it's just a deflection, because they know exactly what is going on. Let's just be real. So what do you think about the federal funds to these organizations being frozen? Do you think it's too extreme or the right course of action? So thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.